Meet the car that does a satisfactory job at everything and offends no one. It's the Subaru Outback, and it's beloved across the two coasts, the West and the East, for its blend of refinement, its safety, and most of all, its reliability and its performance in all types of weather. It doesn't cost a whole lot, and resale value is always high. And what makes a Subaru? Well, the fact that it doesn't really change much from year to year. There was a refresh in 2023, and it's still going strong this year with very minimal changes. Since the 1990s, the Subaru Outback has been the original raised station wagon, if you're not counting the AMC Eagle. Now 6 generations later, it's been new for 2020, and this generation was refreshed for 2023, and we reviewed both of those model years. We've also reviewed the 2022 Wilderness, and now for 2024, well, not much changes, because nothing at Subaru really ever does. Subaru says this is an SUV. It's a station wagon. There's no shame in calling it that. It's just more truck-like. There's 8.7 inches of clearance, up to 9.5 if you order the Wilderness. All the cladding, it's rough and tough. And Subaru also has small wheels. The trend to big 19s and 20s, you won't find that here. These are 18s, and the lower trims come with 17s. So that means there's a lot of sidewall, cushier. You're not gonna scrape these rims as easily. And on this car, you're gonna find it's just simple to use on every aspect. It's not very tall. So these built-in cross rails that extend from the sides, you don't have to install those separately. They swivel out and they're built right in. Makes it very easy. Now, I really like this color. This is autumn green. For 2023, there was a refresh, which you see here. Bigger grille, new taillights, new headlights. This car, yes, it's not the best looking, but I think among Subarus, it's actually elegant. Just like Porsche, Subaru uses a horizontally opposed 4-cylinder engine. Only in the base model Outbacks, it's not nearly as powerful. Those numbers are not what you want in a car this big. You want what's in the XT and the Wilderness trims, this 2.4-liter turbo with 260 horsepower, 277 pound-feet of torque, and fuel economy that really isn't much worse than the regular car. Check out those numbers. The only one that's really bad is the Wilderness, is because that model has some special off-road gear. You can watch my separate review to find out all of that info. But every Outback comes with symmetrical all-wheel drive and a CVT. You might think that the Outback has less room than other SUVs, but you'd be wrong. There's 33 cubic feet of space behind the second row and 76 when everything's folded. That is at the top of this class. Inside any Subaru, you'll find old, a little bit of new, but mostly something familiar. Every Outback has great seats. They're very comfortable, and there's tons of visibility. It's easy to see out of this car with thin pillars and low shoulder line. On the Touring, you're also getting Nappa leather. That's pretty fancy in a Subaru. And the old truly is old, like this steering wheel and the gauge cluster, plus a lot of the switches. It's not that they look terrible, but they definitely feel dated. For 2024, the only changes are power moonroof and reverse automatic braking are now standard on the Onyx Edition, and a heated steering wheel is now standard on a few of those lower trims, including the Onyx Edition, where before it was only on these top trims. There's a lot of room in the back of an Outback, legroom especially. Heated rear seats on this top Touring trim. There's also a little bit of recline. Really, spaciousness, you got it in this car. A portrait touchscreen comes standard on every trim except the base model. This one's 11.6 inches, and while it's large and you can show different information at the very top, it's also very crowded. Just look at how the climate control looks. Imagine doing this while you're driving. And there's some odd features in here. For example, you can save birthdays and anniversaries. This is separate from your contact list. I guess that's helpful for some people. What will be more helpful, though, are the changes that you'll see for 2024 with EyeSight. For example, there's a new wide-angle camera on the Touring trim that better sees pedestrians when you're approaching intersections. That's very helpful, and Subaru says it's also made additional algorithm changes to the existing cameras. It's a very good system, so there's 3 cameras in total. And there's also another eye right up here. That's a driver attention monitor that will track your eye movement with the road, so if you're looking away, it'll warn you. Plus, there's another feature on here that if you register it, it'll use facial recognition for each of these driver profiles. I like the analog gauges here. That's a nice classic feature. But the center display, this one, still, I don't really know what era I'm in right now, but it is not helpful. It's small, it's not really usable. There's lots of icons everywhere that are difficult to see. And even their lane departure warning, because it's off, it's constantly on, making it seem like there's something wrong with the car. There's some changes here that Subaru needs to make that they definitely haven't done in a long time. I usually don't like continuously variable transmissions, but in the Outback, it responds really well and really mimics gears. 8 of them, in fact. What's also good is that when you use the paddle shifters, it really slows down the car, and the shifts are so smooth. These downshifts, seriously. So you don't need to be using the brakes going down the hill when so many other people are just riding theirs and wearing out their brake pads. This truly, I think, is one of the best CVTs, and it's paired well. Really is. Now, the engine doesn't always sound good. And it makes funky noises when you can't do a shift because it's going to over-rev the engine. But I like what Subaru's done here. They've done a good job with this automatic. The turbocharged engine transforms the Outback from a car that can barely go up a hill to a car that can merge safely. Point blank, period. That base engine, I don't care what anybody says or how many people buy it, it's junk. It really is. This car is too heavy, and it's making the same amount of power that the Outback was essentially making in the 90s when the car was much lighter. So I've said it before with this car, and I'll say it again. You put 4 people in here, you put all the gear on the roof, bikes in the back, and you try to take a ski trip up to Vermont or Denver, wherever you might be. You don't want that. The turbo engine truly is made for this car, and the fact that not as many people buy it, I guess they're just being frugal. That's typically what Subaru customers are. Not to shade anybody, but that's truly what it is. But the upcharge for this engine is so much better, and the fuel economy is not really knocked by that much. The gains are just so much bigger with a car like this, and I feel more comfortable driving an Outback anytime I'm in the XT trims. Now on the road, because these roof rails are so tall and they're fixed, you cannot take them off on any Outback, the wind noise is rather loud. And this is the top touring trim, which is supposed to be the most luxurious trim. I got heated and ventilated seats and Napa leather, all that great stuff, and it's very comfortable in this seat. But it's a bit louder than I would be expecting, even with the rails. The tire noise is fine, that's pretty quiet. These are not all-terrains like the Wilderness. But there's a lot of wind noise from up top and on the side. So definitely not the quietest car. I feel like Subaru, after all these years, could put a little more insulation, especially in the doors. Now the Outback isn't meant to be sporty, but a little more steering feel would be nice. It's pretty sloppy. And what happens is that when you're on a back road or even just on a highway and there's a lot of crosswinds, you have to make a lot of little adjustments. That's typically what I've found in bigger trucks and SUVs, not something in this size class. So aside from that, and the fact that it rolls quite a bit, it leans, it's meant to be cushy. So going on a back road is really not its foray at all, truly not. You can hustle it if you need to. And again, the turbo engine always kicks in. I think that's what really saves the Outback from being just incredibly boring to drive. It's not with this engine. But the fact is like, really, all the play here in the wheel, I'm still going dead straight. I don't like that. Maybe other drivers do, but just having a little more secure feel at this helm, I would appreciate. It would make me feel like I know how to position the car exactly where it needs to be. These are gripes, but overall, I enjoy driving the Outback because it just is comfortable and it does pretty much everything right. The fuel efficiency is good. The ride is very, very cushy. I can see out of this car absolutely perfectly. Nice low shoulder lines here, tons of space. And when you're not hard on the throttle, the engine's quiet. And yeah, there's some wind noise. But really, this is totally a road trip car, and I could see why so many people buy this car year after year. Yeah, it's a little roly-poly there, but I think Subaru has to tighten up this steering rack just a little bit. It does. It's driving too much like a bigger truck when this is really a nimble station wagon. Remarkably, unlike the steering, there's very little slop in the brakes. I really like the pedal feel. The 2024 Subaru Outback starts at $28,895. There's 9 trims. Mine was fully loaded, the Touring XT, and with destination in New England, $44,281. You can compare the Outback to other SUVs, like the Hyundai Santa Fe or a Honda Passport, but the Outback is also against luxury wagons, the Mercedes E-Class All-Terrain, the Audi A6 All-Road, and the Volvo V90 and V60 Cross Country. All of them have copied the Outback's formula, but none of them have done it nearly as well. The Outback is an honest car. It's not trying to be the most tech-savvy or the most stylish or the most powerful. Superlatives don't really matter. For Subaru customers, the Outback is dependable because year after year, you can count on what's inside and out. For rugged outdoor lifestyles or you're just driving around, I get it. The Subaru wouldn't be my first choice because I liked a little bit more fun on the back roads, so I'd probably choose a WRX if I was going Subaru. For most everybody else, this ticks all of the boxes. What else do you really want in a car? And not for a bad price either. What do you think? Go to CarGurus.com, check out the full review, and subscribe to our YouTube channel because we got more reviews coming up. See you next time.